WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have Fettercairn 16, the second release for 2021. It is 22, I know, but it just arrived in Germany here at the end of December, so boom, my bottle arrived today. It's a 16-year-old whiskey, 46.4% natural color, no chill filtration, yay. I paid 75 euros for this. Other people have it around for 70 euros now already. And I'm going to just read the back because I was a tiny little bit confused here. Each release of Fettercairn 16-year-old single malt will showcase a maturation journey that enhances the tropical distillery character derived from the copper cooling ring distillation process. So the first one was all about barley. We had that chocolate malted barley in the 16-year-old release number 1. I liked it. I didn't get that mocha. I didn't get the cappuccino moment, but it was a nice whiskey. This says, however, the 2021 release brings together spirit from sherry matured and sherry finished casks. I'm going to stop there. What in all the world is a sherry finished cask? I'm just waiting, all right? What is a sherry finished cask? I know what a whiskey that has a sherry finish is, but what is a sherry finished cask? The cask was finished in sherry? What was in it beforehand? All right, so they do give a little bit of an answer here, more or less. A hand-picked trilogy of First Fill Oloroso. So Oloroso from Jerez came and was used for the first time at Fettercairn. Refill Oloroso and rare First Fill aged Palo Cortado sherry butts bring complex nuances to the unique distillery style. Now, the second question I have, is this a full maturation in those three, or was this whiskey finished in that? I can hardly imagine, me, WhiskyJason, that this whiskey spent all those 16 years in those three different type of casks, and at the end they married them together. I think it's a finish, but nowhere does it say anything here about it being a finish. A complex spirit matured in a combination of Oloroso and aged Palo Cortado sherry casks. Full maturation or finish? Now, that's the problem. According to the regulations of the SWA, you just have to name the last cask. Now, I do commend Fettercairn for one, bringing a variety of new bottlings here on the market. We had the 2020 first release. We've had here, I'm going to compare it to this, a Fettercairn Warehouse number 2, batch 2 and batch 1. This was from rye. So they're experimenting, they're doing various things. And us whiskey geeks are at least buying the bottles and are more and more intrigued by this brand that I'm not going to say they ignored, that flew so under the radar in the past that we didn't even notice it existed. And now White & Mackay has this, and they have some good publicity at the moment, which is very, very nice. All right. Now, I personally did not like the Warehouse 2 Release 2 because of the rye cask finish. I have a problem with rye cask finishing. I love rye, but I don't like rye cask and what it does to single malt yet. Very seldom do I like anything. Now this, I do like Palo Cortado. Palo Cortado is basically a sherry that started out with a fino. There was that floor layer on top of that yeast layer, and it was not oxidating with the air because it was covered for some magical reason, or you added a little bit of alcohol to it. That floor just died, and so then it received a possibility to get oxidized like a Oloroso, and that is Palo Cortado. I like Palo Cortado. I like that combination of the fino and the Oloroso together, and I love a good Palo Cortado. They used to be magical. We did not know why the Palo Cortado had to happen. Now we do. Well, what do? We can force it to happen, let's say that. And so we do have some casks there. They're very seldom. They're very rare. They're very expensive. So great job, Fettercairn, for getting this there. Like the bottle design, like the layout here, like the color schemes, like the unicorn on here. They're doing a lot of things right. Now, let's nose. Sulfur. Now, I am basically getting used to the problem of me not really loving peat. So I can smell a peat whiskey and kind of get rid of that peat moment and go behind there and find good things. Where I have a problem is where the sulfur is stronger. It's not the strongest sulfur whiskey I've ever had, but it's stronger. And they're behind that to figure out what's going on. I just can't. Sulfur is like, for me, the all-dominating sound and aroma here. I get dried apricots and I get a little bit of a citrus moment. Above that, nothing. Now, I'm somewhat sensitive with sulfur. I have other friends that are much sensitive, and I have other people, we just call them sulfur blind. I mean, you could literally put a matchstick in there for like 5 minutes and take it back out, and then they drink it. It's like, I don't have any sulfur. It's like, guys, I can smell it from the other room, yeah. And so there's a big variety of people that deal with sulfur and others who can't. So on the nose, it says here it should be sugared almonds, dried fruit, and aged wood. Aged wood, 16 years old. Did they take some old ex-bourbon barrels that they probably had and then finish it with these Oloroso and Palo Cortado sherry butts? Cheers. That's a lot of sulfur going on in there. What a shame. What a shame. Oh, it gets worse at the end. So once you have sulfur in your cask, it's very difficult to get it out. Where does the sulfur come from? The sulfur does not usually come from, in this quantity, from the distillation process. This comes from the fact that you have a butt. It's a big cask, about 500 liters, in size, in Spain, in the triangle of sherry. And in order to transport to Scotland, especially in warmer weather, they actually take a sulfur candle, put it down into the butt, and let it burn a little bit so that the sulfur oxide, which is in there, gets rid of a lot of the oxygen, so these casks cannot tip, cannot spoil, cannot become sour. And the problem is the wood absorbs that sulfur and passes it on to the next spirit that's added into the casks, and that's what I get. I get sulfur, I get sulfur, I get sulfur, I get sulfur. And this is something which is absolutely, if you are sensitive to sulfur like I am, avoid this whiskey. If you're sulfur blind, as I like to say, go ahead. You're going to maybe get something that has mango, rich citrus zest, apricots, and sun-kissed raisins. Come on. Balanced with walnut, light roasted coffee, cacao, antique licorice notes. What's the difference between licorice and antique licorice? Don't know. Finish encompasses salted caramel, sandalwood, and iced ginger cake. Never had ginger cake. Had carrot cake, but never ginger cake. And iced. Someone really got into the notes here, and congratulations. Hey, respect. I don't get any of that. I get sulfur, and I get sulfur. Even when I dilute this down to about 20 to 25%, I was hoping for the master blending type of moment here where many of the aromas that should not be in there somehow dissipate. Okay, it's a little bit better on the nose. I still get a tiny bit of sulfur, but I do get a little bit of those dried apricots, and I do get some malt and some wood and some citrus zest. Sulfur. Matchstick type of almost rotten egg sour type of moment. Sulfur moment. Yeah. This whiskey is going to receive a D- and an F for value for money. I cannot recommend it. Now, after saying that, please find someone else and watch their video. Someone else might just love this whiskey because they are just immune or blind to sulfur. And there's a large portion of the population in this world which is. Unfortunately, I'm not. And apparently the people of Fettercairn are also immune to sulfur, which is bad for us that are very sensitive to sulfur. I hope someone else reviews this and goes, oh, you get those notes, and this is great, and that is great, and this is good. So I did not like this. I did not like this because of the rye cask. I am not a Fettercairn hater. I just dislike these two expressions on the table. I like the first expression a lot, but I didn't get any sulfur there, and that's what makes it special. All right, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you very much for sharing. Question of the day, what is your favorite Fettercairn? At the moment, the release number 1 here from Fettercairn 16 is my favorite. The Fettercairn 12 is not bad. There's that old wood, that old tired wood from old refilled cask at the end. But it does has a nice tropical flavor at the beginning. And now they're doing things, in my opinion, that do not actually accentuate the flavor of the distillate as I would hope, but rather they're masking and covering some of that good tropical moments here, in my personal opinion. I would wish they would be doing something else. Maybe batch number 3, maybe warehouse release number 3. That will be something that I go, yummy, yummy. I hope so. All right, take a look for Fettercairn. Don't forget the unicorn here and the it's a great bottle design, the nice labeling, the good packaging. Everything else is great. I just did not like that sulfur. Thank you, thank you. So sorry, everyone. All the best. Don't forget to watch someone else's review as well. Bye-bye.